What I think is going to happen in the EuroFinance conference is there's a lot of people concerned about the crisis, what's going on in Europe, because crisis always generate an opportunity for people. Okay, so you don't only need to understand what's going to happen, is what is my opportunity. That's something that we see from Latin America into Europe, but also Europeans are looking at that at this moment. The eurozone crisis is affecting Latin America differently. Why? It's an opportunity for us. Okay, most of the trade balance in Latin America is to Asia. Main concern now is a slowdown in China. So companies are looking for new markets. The US is growing very slow, so Europe hopefully is going to be recovering fast next year or probably the following. It's a growing economy in Latin America. You're absolutely right. I mean, we've seen the exponential growth in the recent years. There are a lot of opportunities there. There are a lot of investment opportunities. We have the investment flows continue going into Brazil. Brazil, remember that in the next 2 years they're going to have the World Soccer Cup and they're going to have the Olympics. So there are a lot of investments in infrastructure. They're creating cities. There are going to be a lot of employment. So there's going to be opportunities for everyone, not only for Brazilians working in Brazil, also European companies going over there, American companies and Latin American companies over there. So it's a great opportunity in Brazil now. The other aspect of your question is, what are the Latin American companies, or specifically the Brazilian companies, doing, the ones that are expanding? Okay, we have plenty of companies now that are part of Fortune 500. If you look at the Petrobras, the Vales, companies that size are really expanding and growing internationally. They have operations in Europe, Asia, the rest of Latin America, the US, Canada. I mean, and their investments are big. There's no small. So what we're creating is Latin American multinationals that in the past we never saw it. Brazilian treasurers really are more focused on the same things that an international treasurer is looking at. Okay, they're looking at the international flows, they're looking at international investment, they're concerned about the rates, they're concerned about the multiple economies. In the past, all the Latin American economies were more closed. So when they were more closed, they were more focused on the local market and local expansions. Because of this bigger expansion that we were talking a little bit early, okay, the treasurers now are more concerned on centralizations, more controls, on issues that normally in the past was part of only the Fortune 500 companies or the large global multinationals. There are a lot of changes in Latin America. Okay, there are a lot of things that are happening. The countries are opening their capital accounts. Okay. Maybe not at the velocity that an international treasurer will be looking at, but it's happening. You can have US dollar accounts around the world, you can have euros account around the world, you can have Asian currencies around the world. You can control everything centralized, but still some barriers locally. Okay, we still have countries like where we have trapped cash. Argentina is a good example of that. Venezuela is a good example of that. But in the past years, the evolution that we have seen in countries like Peru, Colombia, Brazil, that they are opening more of their capital account, is permitting a very fluid flow of capitals between the different regions. I don't think that the economy around the world is going to be easy for the next 3-4 years, but I'm very positive, to be honest. Okay, I prefer to see the half glass full rather than empty. Every crisis generates an opportunity. Okay, so the recovery of Europe is going to be the hope of a slowdown in China. Okay, and the slow growth in the US is what is maintaining the economy in certain regions. There are a lot of exports from Latin America into the US, okay, but in the future they're going to come back to Europe and eventually they're going to go back to Asia. So the crisis is going to continue. It's a matter of understanding the flows and trying to run correctly in these waves. This is not the first time that this is happening, okay? The problem is that we have short memory, and normally we tend to forget. But 10 years ago and 20 years ago, we have the same type of cycles.